Hello, it's Ben from Inspired Children here, and this month's video is all about defensive lying. So if you've seen me speak at conferences, you'll know all about this because it's something that happens to me quite a lot. So I have a diagnosis of ADHD, and I also have a diagnosis of ASD as well. It turns out you can have both. And one of my issues is social anxiety, but it's a kind of reversed social anxiety. So I can do speeches in front of hundreds, if not thousands of people, and I've actually spoken in front of 5,000 people once, and I barely get nervous at all. But if you catch me off guard in a social situation when I'm not expecting it, then that's when panic sets in. And as a response to that panic, what many children that you work with do, and indeed many adults like me, is something called defensive lying. And what that means is that when I panic in a social situation, just lies come out of my mouth, and I don't mean it. I'm not a dishonest person. I try to be honest. In fact, I'm just as surprised as you are when the lies come out of my mouth. But it is a panic response, fight or flight, but in this case it's lie. And sometimes it gets me into trouble. It has done over my whole life. I struggle with training. So if anyone's ever been on training where the trainer says, oh, let's go round the room and say our names and say a bit about ourselves, by the time it gets to my turn, that small group format makes me more and more anxious. And I try and try and be funny, and I'm not, or B, just absolute lies come out of my mouth. And the problem with that is I've then got to stay consistent to the lie that I've told. So it happened to me recently. I was doing a conference down south, and I was eating my dinner by myself, just having a bit of a moment to reset in between keynote speeches. And this lady came up to me and put her hand on my shoulder. Now, those who know me know that spontaneous physical contact is not my thing at all. I really don't like that. I'm not a monster. I'm going to hug my family, but just strangers doing that makes me on edge. So she touched my shoulder, and then she said, oh, you said you're from the Midlands. Do you live near West Midlands Safari Park? So I said, yes, I do actually. I don't at all. But then I'm in a position where I've had a 10-minute conversation with this lady, telling her all the favourite bits of a place that I've never been to in my life because I'm stuck in the lie that I said in a moment of panic. And you'll see this in your children. And the problem with this behaviour, and the reason I'm trying to raise awareness of it, is that in children, quite often adults see it as really disrespectful. You know, they know you've lied. So it's actually a level of disrespect to just lie to your face. And you get really angry as adults. Like, no, I know you did it. Own up. But the trouble is the child is now stuck in that panic response, and they're almost like they're stuck in a loop. And sometimes the only way you get the child to admit what they've done is to fundamentally break their spirit. And they're not trying to be disrespectful. They never were. They just, in that moment of panic, just a lie came out. And if I, in my 50s, still do it, then I think we can be a lot more forgiving of our younger children. I don't know if anyone ever has done the icebreaker when you do training, and they do an icebreaker called 2 truths and a lie, where you're supposed to say to the person next to you 2 things that are true, 1 is a lie, and they're supposed to guess which is the truth and which is the lie. Well, 3 lies for me every time, because my brain freezes. I think I'm trying to be funny, I don't know, but absolute rubbish comes out of my mouth. So I wanted to raise awareness in this short video. Defensive lying. Please be more forgiving of your 4-year-olds when they do it, and your 16-year-olds, and maybe when you meet me, please be more forgiving of your 55-year-olds as well. Now, something interesting happened to me recently. I met somebody, a head teacher, who I think also has a susceptibility for defensive lying, because we were chatting, we'd only just met, and she said, oh, where have you come from today? And I said, Leicestershire. And she said, oh, I was born in Leicestershire. Now, that sounds perfectly innocent, doesn't it? But then she said, oh, no, I wasn't. I don't know why I said that. I was born in Derbyshire. Do you know what? That was an eye-opener to me. In my entire life, it's never occurred to me that when I've lied to somebody, I can then admit it, and it's absolutely fine. Because that didn't bother me at all. It was absolutely fine that she'd accidentally said the wrong thing. Whereas me, I'd have spent the next whole hour talking to that lady as if I came from Leicestershire. Well, I mean, I do, but if I was her. The thing is, it never occurred to me ever that I could go back on it. I haven't managed to do this in conversation yet. I am going to try. So I'm going to try to actually be and go, look, yeah, sorry, that was a complete lie. What I meant to say was, and I'll let you know how that one goes on. But at the moment, it's just, I get stuck in the lie and I get caught up in it. Now, there is another side to this. So weird stuff happens to me. I'm just one of those people, and sometimes my life is the most bizarre thing ever. You wouldn't believe some of the things. that have happened to me just at a random chance. And that's the weird thing, is because people, because they've caught me out in a lie about something small and trivial, they then don't believe the stories I tell. And the thing is, my stories are 100% true, because weird stuff happens to me all the time. And I tell a story on my keynote speeches about my cat being accused of being a drug dealer. 100% true. Genuinely, a lady accused my cat of leading other cats to her catnip bush. I know. So weird stuff happens to me all the time. So, and a quick example of that, I was driving down south recently to do a conference, and I overtook a massive convoy of huge lorries with big pipes, you know, the giant pipes. So there's a wide load, but there were loads of vans and lorries. It was a massive convoy with a police escort. And as I pulled around it, the motorbikes from the back of the police escort decided that it was their turn to go to the front. So they went around, but they went around me because I was in a van. So I then got stuck in this convoy of like 30 other vehicles going at about 30 miles an hour down the motorway, not feeling able to overtake the motorbikes because they were my escort. I was going, honestly, it must have been about 25, 30 miles of me just sat there going really slow because I'd accidentally got stuck in a convoy. I don't know if stuff like that does happen to other people, but yeah, for me, weird stuff happens all the time. I went for physio for the first time in years. It's a bit of a nervous situation for me. Physical contact with a stranger that you don't know, as well as the conversation. So I'm already quite nervous. Turned up to have the physio, and they all came running out, and like all this big fuss going on because the last person had passed out in the physio. And so I had to sit and wait while they called ambulances and all sorts. And already my anxiety level is through the roof. And at that point, a blind guy who was using the gym where this clinic was, brought his guide dog in, and his guide dog stays in the foyer while he goes and uses the gym. And all the staff know about it. This is all absolutely fine. Except the guide dog must have sensed that I was stressed because they're really sensitive animals. So he came up to me to comfort me by putting his massive jowly head on my lap and then drooling slobber all over my legs. And I sat there with this weird like chaos going on in the room next to me, waiting for my appointment where I'm already nervous, with a big-headed dog just slobbering on me. And I thought to myself, does this happen to ordinary people, or is this just me? So I do lie when I'm put on the spot. I don't lie every time you talk to me. Please don't panic if you come up to me at a conference. If you're asking me about the stuff I've been talking about, I'm confident about that. I can mask, I can be sociable, I will not lie. It's if you throw me a curveball when I'm not expecting it, or ask me a question that I wasn't expecting, that, or put your hand on my shoulder for no reason, then I might just panic and I might just lie. So I hope you'll be more forgiving in your children, but also if you see me, I don't live near West Midlands Safari Park. So if the person who asked me that question is watching this video, please accept my apology. It was just a moment of panic and I really don't live near. I mean, I live quite near there, but not that near. So on that note, I hope you enjoyed this very short insight into defensive lying. Please do spread the word. It is something that goes along with ADHD, but it's not just children with ADHD. For some children, it's just a panic response. And they don't mean it. They're just trying to buy themselves time in that moment of panic, and absolute rubbish comes out of our mouth. So, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click like and subscribe. If you want to know more, do look out for my books that are on Amazon now. But apart from that, hopefully see you all again on the next video. See you soon.